The Andromeda cluster hummed with a strange quiet. Massive space stations hung like metal pearls against the deep black of space, each one a world of its own. The Curran Collective controlled these stations, their influence stretching across hundreds of star systems. They were hunters, not just in the literal sense, but in every aspect of their existence. Daniel Kim stood at the observation deck, watching the endless starscape. To anyone looking, he appeared completely ordinary. Medium height, average build, wearing a standard diplomatic translator's uniform. His hands were clasped behind his back, his posture relaxed. But his eyes, deep brown and seemingly calm, were anything but relaxed. The station around him buzzed with activity. Alien species from a dozen different planets moved through the wide corridors. Some were tall and thin, others short and bulky. Mechanical parts mixed with organic components on many of them, a testament to the advanced biotechnology of the Curran Collective. Daniel watched them all, his gaze moving slowly, carefully. A group of Curran hunters passed nearby. They were impressive creatures, nearly 7 feet tall, with exoskeletal armor that seemed to breathe and move with them. Their 6-fingered hands carried communication devices that looked more like living organisms than technology. They spoke in low clicks and rumbles, a language that sounded like grinding metal to human ears. Daniel didn't react. He didn't need to. He was listening. The station's artificial gravity felt different from Earth, slightly lighter, with a subtle pull that most humans would notice immediately. But Daniel moved as if he had been born here, his body adapting without conscious effort. A small detail, but one that would have been impossible for most humans. A female Curran communication specialist named Aria approached the observation deck. Her exoskeleton was a deep blue-green, with intricate patterns that shifted like living tattoos. She carried a data pad, her movements precise and calculated. "Translator Kim," she called out, her translated voice smooth and professional. Daniel turned. His smile was perfect, warm, but not too friendly. Diplomatic, but not overly familiar. "Yes. The trade delegation from the Centauri Nexus will arrive in 3 standard hours. The primary negotiator requires a linguistic preparation brief." Her eyes, multiple and arranged in a half-circle across her head, studied him carefully. "Of course," Daniel replied. "I'll have the report ready within the hour." As Aria walked away, Daniel returned to watching the stars. But something had changed in his posture. For just a moment, so quickly that no one would have noticed, his muscles tensed, his eyes hardened. Then, just as quickly, he was relaxed again. The Curran saw him as just another human translator, a simple diplomatic worker, here to help communicate between species. They saw what they wanted to see. They had no idea what was coming. In the vast emptiness of space, surrounded by countless alien species, Daniel Kim waited, watched, prepared. The hunt was about to begin. Aria stood alone in the communication center. Everything was different now. The Curran were no longer hunters. They were prey. And one human had done this. One human had destroyed everything they had built. She looked at the old records, watched the data streams, tried to understand what had happened. Daniel Kim was not just a human. He was something else. The station was quiet now. Most of the Curran were gone. Destroyed. Scattered. The once mighty civilization reduced to broken pieces. Rowan found her in the communication center. He moved quietly through the maintenance tunnels. His hands touched broken communication systems. What was he? Aria asked. Rowan knew something. He had seen things, heard things, understood more than most. "A weapon," he said simply. The record showed pieces of a story, bits of information that made no sense alone. But together, they told a different tale. Humans had been preparing. For a long time, genetic modifications, advanced training, technologies that went beyond normal science. Daniel was not an accident. He was a plan to stop hunters like the Curran. Aria found old communication logs, buried deep in broken systems, messages that were never meant to be found. Humans had been watching, learning, preparing. The Kryn thought they knew everything about other species. They were wrong. Daniel moved like a ghost through the station's systems, not physically present, but everywhere. His genetic modifications went beyond anything the Kryn had seen. Each cell a weapon, each movement a calculated attack. Rowan showed area-hidden maintenance logs, small changes, tiny modifications, things most would never notice. Humans had been planning this for years, the perfect counter to the perfect hunters. Area understood now. The Kryn were not just defeated. They were made an example, a message to other species. Humans were not weak, not passive, not something to be conquered. They were something else entirely. The communication systems showed the last moments of the Kryn collective. Broken messages, destroyed networks, fear, real fear, something the Kryn had never felt before. Rowan and Area looked at each other. They had survived, watched the entire destruction. What happens now? Area asked. Rowan knew the answer. Humans will change everything. The station was silent. Broken systems, destroyed networks. The end of a civilization that thought it was unbeatable. All because of one human, who was not quite human anymore. Daniel Kim sat somewhere, watching, waiting. The hunt was over, but something else was just beginning. The abandoned mining colony looked like a ghost from space. Metal structures jutted out at broken angles. Massive cargo containers lay scattered like forgotten toys. No lights, no movement, just silence. The Kryn hunting squad approached carefully. 6 members, each one a perfect killing machine. Their exoskeleton armor shifted and breathed, camouflaging them against the dark metal background. Weapons charged, sensors scanning every tiny detail. Squad leader Krell moved first. His 6 eyes scanned the environment, each eye seeing a different spectrum of light. Thermal, infrared, electromagnetic. Nothing escaped his notice, or so he thought. Sector clear, he clicked into his communication device. The rest of the squad spread out. Their movements were perfect, practiced. Each hunter knew exactly where the others would be. They had hunted together for years, conquered dozens of planets, killed countless species. They didn't see him. Daniel Kim watched from a position that should have been impossible. Pressed against a piece of broken machinery, he was perfectly still. His body temperature matched the cold metal around him. His breathing, controlled to be almost non-existent. The Kryn hunting squad moved deeper into the abandoned colony. They were looking for something. Resources, survivors, potential threats, another species to add to their list of conquests. Krull stopped suddenly. Something was wrong. Check communication frequencies, he ordered. But it was too late. The first hunter went down without a sound. One moment he was there. The next, gone. No blood. No warning. Just empty space where a 7-foot-tall killing machine had been standing moments before. The second hunter tried to raise an alarm. His communication device crushed before he could make a sound. His weapon, somehow disabled, fell to the ground. Daniel moved like a ghost. Not human. Not anything the Kryn had ever seen before. Area, back on the space station, noticed something strange. Communication signals from the hunting squad were breaking up, disappearing, fragmenting in ways that made no sense. Rowan, in the maintenance tunnels, felt a strange vibration. Something was happening. Something big. On the abandoned mining colony, the hunting squad was no longer hunting. They were being hunted. Krull realized it first. This was not a normal encounter. This was something else entirely. "We are being," he started to say. Then he was gone too. The last transmission from the squad was nothing but static. A brief, blurred image. A human figure moving with impossible speed. Then, nothing. Back on the space station, Daniel Kim sat in the diplomatic quarters, calm, quiet, reviewing some communication documents, looking like nothing had happened. To anyone watching, he was just another human translator. But something had changed. The game was now different. And the Kurin had no idea what was coming. The Kurin leadership gathered in their most secure meeting chamber. Metal walls pulsed with biological technology. Screens showed data from across their territory. 6 high-ranking officials sat around a circular table, their exoskeletons reflecting the dim light. "The hunting squad is gone," announced Commander Vex. His voice was flat, cold. No one spoke for a long moment. Hunting squads didn't just disappear. They were the most advanced killing teams in the galaxy. Each member was a weapon. Each team had conquered entire civilizations. Arya stood in the corner, her communication devices active. She was listening, watching. Something felt wrong. Rowan, working in the maintenance tunnels beneath the meeting chamber, heard everything through the station's communication systems. His hands moved carefully, adjusting pipes and circuits. But his ears, they were focused on every word. "One human," said another commander. "Just one human translator." The room filled with a sound that might have been laughter. But it was not a happy sound. It was the sound of predators who did not yet understand they were being hunted. Daniel Kim was not in the diplomatic quarters. He was everywhere and nowhere. The next attack came quickly. A research station orbiting a dead planet. 15 Kurin scientists, specialized researchers who had conquered dozens of scientific frontiers. They were studying something important. They never saw him coming. Communication logs showed nothing unusual. No warning. No signs of trouble. Just silence. And then, empty space where the entire research team had been. Commander Vex received the report. His multiple eyes moved across the data screens. Something was wrong. Very wrong. "Track the human," he ordered Arya. But tracking Daniel was like trying to catch smoke with bare hands. In the maintenance tunnels, Rowan found small pieces of evidence. Tiny changes in the station's systems. Microscopic adjustments that most would never notice. But he noticed. He understood what was happening. Daniel was not just attacking. He was learning, studying, mapping. Another Kurin hunting team disappeared. Then another. Each time, no evidence, no blood, no signs of struggle. Just gone. The Kurin began to feel something they had never felt before. Fear. Arya started to understand. This was not random. This was not accident. This was something planned. Something precise. Daniel moved through the station. To everyone else, he looked the same. Diplomatic translator. Quiet. Careful. Watching. But beneath that surface, a war was beginning. The Kurin had hunted countless species, conquered entire civilizations, destroyed worlds without thinking. Now something was hunting them, and they had no idea how to stop it. The Kurin had a secret weapon. A massive computer system that could predict outcomes with almost perfect accuracy. It was built into the core of their biggest space station. Millions of biological processors. Quantum computing mixed with living technology. They called it the Predictor. No one had ever beaten the Predictor. Until now. Daniel Kim stood in a small, quiet room. To anyone watching, he looked like he was doing nothing. Just standing, breathing, existing. But something else was happening. His body was changing, not in a way anyone could see, but deep inside. Genetic modifications that went beyond human understanding. Each of his cells was a weapon. Each of his muscles could do things no normal human could do. Arya watched through security cameras. Something was different about him. Not human. Not completely. The Predictor began to malfunction. Tiny errors at first. Small mistakes in calculation. Then bigger problems. Entire prediction models collapsed. Rowan, in the maintenance tunnels, saw the first signs. Communication systems flickered. Data streams broke apart. Something was attacking the station's core systems. Commander Vex realized the truth too late. Daniel was not just hunting them. He was destroying everything they had built. Their communication networks went down first. Massive systems that had controlled hundreds of star systems, gone in moments. No warning, no explanation. The Kurin had conquered countless species using technology. Now their technology was turning against them. Daniel moved through the station's systems like a ghost, each touch, each movement, destroying something invisible but crucial. Aria's communication devices went crazy. Random data streams, broken signals, information that made no sense. "What are you?" she whispered. The predictor tried to calculate Daniel's next move, but it couldn't. He was something new, something impossible. A human weapon, designed to hunt hunters. Rowan found pieces of technology in the maintenance tunnels, advanced systems that should not exist, modifications that broke every known rule of science. Daniel was more than human, but not quite something else. The perfect predator. Commander Vex assembled his top fighters, the best the Kurin had. Genetic modifications, advanced weapons, years of hunting experience. They would stop this human. They fought. The station went dark. Communication systems died. The predictor fell silent. And in the darkness, Daniel moved. Hunting began. The Kurin had no idea what was coming. Their technology, their weapons, their entire civilization would soon be nothing. Just a memory. Hunted by a human they never understood. The Kurin collective mobilized everything they had. Thousands of ships gathered. Massive war machines that had conquered entire star systems. Each ship was a weapon. Each crew was a killing team. They had never failed a mission. Not once in their entire history. Commander Vex stood on the bridge of the lead ship. His 6 eyes scanned multiple screens. Tactical displays. Communication networks. Battle strategies that had worked for centuries. "Find the human," he ordered. Aria worked frantically in the communication center. Her biological technology stretched to its limits. Tracking. Searching. Looking for any sign of Daniel Kim. Rowan, hidden in the maintenance tunnels, heard the station prepare for war. Massive systems powered up. Weapons charged. The entire Kurin civilization was moving. They would crush this human threat. Or so they thought. The first attack wave launched. Hundreds of ships, each one a perfect killing machine. Advanced weapons, genetic modifications, technologies that had destroyed civilizations. Daniel watched them come. He was waiting. The battle began in the empty space near an abandoned mining colony, the same place where the first hunting squad had disappeared. Kurin ships moved in perfect formation, no wasted movement, no mistakes. Weapons charged, sensors scanning every millimeter of space. The first ship exploded without warning. No missile, no weapon signature, just gone. The second ship followed, then the third. Commander Vex couldn't believe what he was seeing. Impossible, he clicked. But it was happening. Daniel moved between the ships, not flying, not using any technology they could understand. Something else, something impossible. He was hunting them. Aria watched the battle screens. Data streams broke apart. Information made no sense. Ships disappeared faster than her systems could track. Rowan felt the vibrations through the station's hull. Something big was happening. Something that would change everything. The Kurin had a saying. Hunters never become the hunted. They were wrong. One by one, the ships died. No resistance, no fight. Just destruction. Commander Vex realized the truth. This was not a battle. This was something else. This was extinction. Daniel moved through the ships like a ghost. No weapon could touch him. No sensor could track him. He was everywhere and nowhere. The perfect predator. Hundreds of ships became dozens, then less, then nothing. An entire battle fleet, destroyed by one human. Back on the station, Daniel Kim sat in the diplomatic quarters. calm, quiet, looking at some communication documents. To anyone watching, he was just another human translator. But something had changed. The Kurin were no longer the hunters. They were the prey. And the hunt was just beginning. A massive Kurin battle fleet gathered at the edge of known space. This was their last hope. Their final chance to stop the human who had destroyed everything. Commander Vex sat in the central command ship. His 6 eyes watched multiple screens, tactical displays, communication networks, weapon systems, everything they had left. "We will end this," he said. His voice was hard, cold. Aria worked in a hidden communication center, her biological technology pushed to its limits. Tracking, searching, trying to understand what was happening. Rowan moved through secret maintenance tunnels. He knew something big was coming. He could feel it in the station's walls, in the air, in the vibrations that ran through every system. Daniel Kim prepared differently. He was not on a ship, not in a weapons center, not anywhere that Kurin could find him. But he was everywhere. The battle began in the darkness of space. Thousands of Kurin ships, advanced weapons, technologies that had conquered entire civilizations. They thought they were the hunters. They were wrong. The first wave of ships moved forward. Perfect formation. No mistakes. Each ship a weapon. Each crew a killing team. Daniel moved between them. Not flying. Not using any technology they could understand. Something else. The first ships died quickly. No warning. No resistance. Just gone. Commander Vex watched in horror. His prediction systems failed. His tactical displays broke apart. Nothing made sense. Aria's communication devices went crazy. Random data streams, broken signals, information that hurt to look at. Rowan felt the battle through the station's systems. Vibrations of destruction. Something big was happening. Daniel was more than human now. His body changed with each movement, each attack. Genetic modifications that went beyond science, beyond understanding. The Kurin had a secret weapon, a final solution, a massive energy weapon that could destroy entire star systems. They never got to use it. Ships exploded, not from weapons, not from attacks, just destroyed. Commander Vex realized the truth. They were not fighting a battle. They were being hunted. Aria watched the screens go dark, one by one. Ship after ship. Entire battle groups vanished. Rowan held his breath in the maintenance tunnels. The perfect predator moved through space, hunting, destroying, changing everything. The Kurin battle fleet became nothing. Scattered pieces, broken ships, destroyed hope, all by one human, who was not quite human anymore. Back on the station, Daniel Kim sat in the diplomatic quarters, calm, quiet, looking at some communication documents. To anyone watching, he was just another human translator. But something had changed. The Kurin were finished, and the hunt was almost over. Aria stood alone in the communication center. Everything was different now. The Kurin were no longer hunters. They were prey. And one human had done this. One human had destroyed everything they had built. She looked at the old records, watched the data streams, tried to understand what had happened. Daniel Kim was not just a human. He was something else. The station was quiet now. Most of the Kurin were gone, destroyed, scattered. The once mighty civilization reduced to broken pieces. Rowan found her in the communication center. He moved quietly through the maintenance tunnels. His hands touched broken communication systems. What was he? Aria asked. Rowan knew something. He had seen things, heard things, understood more than most. A weapon, he said simply. The record showed pieces of a story, bits of information that made no sense alone. But together, they told a different tale. Humans had been preparing. For a long time, genetic modifications, advanced training, technologies that went beyond normal science. Daniel was not an accident. He was a plan to stop hunters like the Kurin. Area found old communication logs, buried deep in broken systems, messages that were never meant to be found. Humans had been watching, learning, preparing. The Kurin thought they knew everything about other species. They were wrong. Daniel moved like a ghost through the station's systems, not physically present, but everywhere. His genetic modifications went beyond anything the Kurin had seen. Each cell a weapon, each movement a calculated attack. Rowan showed area hidden maintenance logs, small changes, tiny modifications, things most would never notice. Humans had been planning this for years, the perfect counter to the perfect hunters. Area understood now. The Kurin were not just defeated. They were made an example, a message to other species. Humans were not weak, not passive, not something to be conquered. They were something else entirely. The communication systems showed the last moments of the Kurin collective. Broken messages, destroyed networks, fear, real fear, something the Kurin had never felt before. Rowan and Area looked at each other. They had survived, watched the entire destruction. What happens now? Area asked. Rowan knew the answer. Humans will change everything. The station was silent. Broken systems, destroyed networks. The end of a civilization that thought it was unbeatable. All because of one human, who was not quite human anymore. Daniel Kim sat somewhere, watching, waiting. The hunt was over, but something else was just beginning. The galaxy watched. News traveled fast. The Kurin Collective, the most feared hunters in known space, had been destroyed by one human. Other species looked up, listened, learned. Humans were not what they seemed. Daniel Kim disappeared. No one knew where. No traces, no evidence, just gone. But the message remained. Rowan worked in the broken station, fixing systems, recording what had happened, making sure the story would be remembered. Area kept communication logs, pieces of the destruction, fragments of a war that lasted moments but changed everything. The human databases showed something else, hints of a program, a secret project, generations of preparation. The Kurin had hunted many species, destroyed civilizations, conquered worlds without thinking. Now they were gone. Other hunting species looked at their own technologies, their own plans, their own histories. Humans were watching, waiting, ready. The broken Kurin station became a monument, a warning, a message to anyone who might think of hunting humans. Rowan found small details, tiny pieces of technology that made no sense, advanced systems beyond current understanding. Daniel was more than a weapon. He was a message. Humans would not be prey. Humans would be something else. The first species to fight back, to show that being hunted was a choice, not a destiny. Other civilizations looked at the data, studied the destruction, tried to understand. How could one human do this? The answer was simple. Humans were not what they appeared to be. Rowan told Area the old stories, how humans had been preparing, learning, waiting. The Kurin thought they knew everything about other species. They were wrong. Daniel moved like a ghost through history, a shadow, a warning. The hunt was over, but something else was beginning. Other species would remember this moment, the day humans showed their true nature. Not victims, not weak, something else entirely. The perfect predators, who would not be hunted, who would do the hunting. The station remained, a broken monument, a message written in destroyed technology and broken systems. Humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. Daniel Kim sat somewhere, watching, waiting. The hunt was over, but the story was just beginning.